All right, here's we are to this point. We had to pull out the single 4x6 sideways, wasn't working. We had to pull it out because it wouldn't hold the weight. So we're going to double it up, and we're actually using, I'll show you in a minute, you can see how much it's tilted. That's only one block. We're gonna go up another block plus the beam, should give us about 20 inches. You can see my assistant Jared. Say hello, Jared.
Hello.
We have a 20-ton jack we put in the middle, but we ended up going old school redneck. and floor jacked each corner on the beam. And Jared did lots of digging, and like a mole, he was digging holes. Obviously, we don't have a footer under there, but we're not worried too much. That's why we went two blocks wide, solid filled. And so now we got to let these corner down, move to the front so we don't have everything in the building that flying one way, tilted one way or the other. So continue on. What was that? I don't know, but I heard it. I got the fuck out of there. Ah, because it's tilting the front. Good. We're not even. It's so far off. I don't know, I heard something pop and I fucking stepped out there. Alright, so be careful you get the bars. You just keep moving. Alright. Are we there yet? Probably not, right? No, where's all that? What? Two blocks up. Floor jacks are the redneck lift crew. Two extra people right there. Is getting there. We're 2 blocks up on the front. Back is still single with some other pieces. Just holding in place.
Don't forget to show the wheatgrass.
And it's coming along. Slid around on us a little bit, not too bad. Now we're gonna move around back, get the single blocks in, and then comes Big Daddy beams. So then we'll just fine tune, level it, and simple enough, right Jared? Nice, easy, easy peasy.
Yes, sir.
Here's where we stopped yesterday. We had a couple issues. Really all were brought on by me, a little poor planning. We got, we were just originally trying to lift too much too fast instead of taking smaller bites. And what happened was, because of that, at one point we had the cottage lifted way too much. Actually, one of the blocks you can see over there, that was on the front corner, had pivoted with the cottage and it put all the pressure up in the front. And by doing so, it actually exploded the block. It's quite a noise to hear, but that's why I filled them all, because they hold a lot more pressure. These blocks from Lowe's, to be honest with you, weren't the greatest looking. I don't know how you can buy or get cheap blocks, but they weren't the greatest to begin with, looking wise. And like I said, that was all on us. So got to take smaller bites. We ran out of daylight yesterday and ran out of block. What I'm going to do is, we're pretty much measurement wise where we want to be. These are all tilted a little bit because we were doing some adjusting. Everything's going to get straightened out. What we're actually going to do is go back through, put the jacks back under, straighten up the blocks, and instead of just a single block on each, they're going to get double on the bottom, and then the top will be spun the other way, double there, and then it'll get a, we're originally going to cross it. We don't need to. The beams run this way, so we're just going to put 2x6 pieces in there that'll give the support. And I also then rethought, once I do that, I'm going to go through, just because it's so high, obviously it's going to get fill, but I'm going to go back through once we get it all set, the blocks set where they are, and get the building all shimmed up and leveled. I'm going to add a center pier of 4 blocks on each side of the beam too. There's 2 beams going down that way in it. Then it definitely won't go anywhere. Then got to get a bunch of fill. That's how high we're going to actually be bringing it up, because property is way up. I don't need to be as high as they had filled for the pavilion. So with my laser transit, I did shoot a bunch of grade, and what I decided pretty much a good spot was just to the other side of the telephone pole right there. And that's going to be, because this is very low through here, so it really swampy, so it's going to be up about 18 inches is how high the cottage is going to be. And same thing as we go back, so there's going to be a lot of fill over time through here, because, and obviously this chicken coop area is going to come out, but this area is always swampy and rainy. Right now, because we're in dry season, it's good, and then there's a spot back there that gets wet, but really the property, I'm going to pitch the property off. Probably a third of it goes to that way. There's a wet drainage ditch that way, and 2/3 I'm going to slope over that way. But it's going to be a lot of fill, a lot of time, but that's why it's lifted up, so so it'll actually be all usable, and you won't be mucking around and swamping around. But it's a work in progress, but it's getting there, so keep watching. Thanks. There you go. Ended up deciding to put center pier in too, just because of the way the beam had a little belly to it. So a few more blocks, and again, all the blocks are filled solid, so got a pretty damn close to level. A lot more level than it was how it originally was sitting, but it's pretty close. It is nonetheless just a little guest room. Well, shed turned into one, but really is pretty nice in there. I don't know if I have footage or video on it yet. Everything's sitting pretty well. A little bit of lean here and there, a little bit settled because we don't have footers under them, but we've got it wide enough, and the sand compacts pretty solid, so it's not overly crazy worried about it sinking. So pretty well set. Just finishing up retrenching, actually trenching for the first time to put the power, drop the power line back, and they basically had it running about 3-4 inches above the below the surface. So trenching it all right back, drop it back down, straighten out the conduit in there, and then get some fill next week and start filling around it. As you can see, this is sitting up there pretty good, but that's how low the rest of the area is. So we're going to be filling throughout to build our house. Well, here's where we are. Sorry for not having the during footage, but I don't have a real GoPro. I got a knockoff, and the batteries sort of suck on it, but you're really not missing much besides me shoveling dirt. So as you can see, I've got probably 18 inches of dirt, all hand shoveled all the way under, pretty much level across, even under there. That's to put in perspective, that's about 18 yards, which to also put that in perspective is I got 2 full big dump truck, and I put an entire pile by hand underneath, which was a couple days project because it's not the easiest thing to do, especially you're heaving it. You're not just dropping it. You're having to heave it to get it to the middle from both sides, all the edges, all the way around. But now I will go back, come back in with the tractor and start dumping loads around it and start grading out with the box blade. And then I'll set, because right over here is my point that I'm using, I'll set my laser transit back there and I'll shoot grade from here, and that's what I'm going to do the rest of it on. So that was most of the hard part. Once I get this down, obviously I'm gonna have some settling, still gonna have to add some more, but as you can see now, at least it doesn't look like it's on stilts anymore.